You ever have that one place in your town that everyone talks about but no one really goes to? For 16-year-old Leo Marlin, that place was Logu Cave. It sat tucked between the forest and the cliffs, half hidden like it didn't want to be found. Everyone in the small coastal town of Grayshore had heard the stories. It hums at night, or if you step inside, you forget who you are. But Leo, he thought those were just bedtime tales to keep kids from wandering too far. Leo lived a pretty chill life. He helped his grandma run the town's cozy bookshop, rode his bike along the beach, and hung out with his best friend Mira, who loved birdwatching and conspiracy theories a little too much. Everything was normal, until that one breezy afternoon when the wind carried something strange, something that made Leo stop dead in his tracks near the edge of the woods. It was a whisper. No, not just a breeze, a real voice, soft, distant, calling his name. Leo? He looked around, heart thudding. No one there, just trees swaying and gulls calling over the sea. "Did you hear that, Leo?" asked Mira, who was squinting through her binoculars at a seagull. "Hear what?" she said without looking up. Leo forced a laugh. "Never mind. Probably the wind." But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. And just like that, the mystery of Logu Cave quietly stepped into his life. The next morning, Leo couldn't shake that weird feeling. That whisper, it hadn't been a dream. He was sure of it. Back at the Marlin Books bookstore, the bell above the door jingled as usual, and the air smelt like old paper and cinnamon from his grandma's tea. He dusted off the front counter and restocked a shelf when something caught his eye in the old local legends section. It was a book he didn't remember putting there, thick, leather-bound, and tucked sideways, like it wanted to be found. Curious, Leo flipped it open. And there it was, a hand-drawn map, yellowed with age, faint ink lines traced paths through the woods, leading to a circle marked in red, Logu Cave. But this wasn't a tourist map or some local lore illustration. This one had details, routes, symbols, warnings. And written in tiny script beneath the cave, "Only the chosen may enter. The past does not sleep." Leo's fingers trembled a little. "Grandma, have you seen this book before?" His grandma looked over from behind the register and frowned. "That dusty old thing? It's been here since before you were born. No one's ever bought it." Leo nodded slowly. But the whisper, the map, and the sudden feeling like the cave was waiting? It was all too much to ignore. He slid the map into his backpack, just in case. Later that afternoon, Leo met up with Mira near the edge of the woods. He couldn't stop thinking about that map. The breeze, the whisper, the warning in tiny script. "Mira, you remember that cave everyone talks about?" he asked, pulling the map from his backpack. Her eyes lit up. "You mean Logu Cave? The one nobody dares to enter? Of course! It's probably haunted or a portal or cursed. Why?" Leo handed her the map. She squinted. "Whoa, where'd you get this?" "It just showed up in the bookstore." That was all Mira needed. "We have to follow it," she said, already walking ahead. "Think about it. What if this proves the legends are real? What if we find treasure or like an underground city?" Leo hesitated. He wasn't sure if he was excited or nervous, or both. Still, the two of them set off down the narrow forest path, following the faded lines on the map. The deeper they walked, the quieter the world became. No cars, no birds, just leaves crunching underfoot and the occasional snap of a twig. At one point, Mira stopped. "Do you hear that?" Leo's heart skipped. "The wind?" "No, it's like humming." They stood still. And sure enough, from somewhere far ahead, there was a low, soft hum, almost like singing. They looked at each other. No turning back now. Whatever lay ahead, Logu Cave was real, and it was calling. Leo and Mira stood at the edge of a clearing, staring at it. Logu Cave. It wasn't exactly how they imagined it. There was no dramatic cliff, no glowing symbols, just a wide stone mouth, half covered in moss and vines. But something about it felt alive, like the cave was watching them. Leo took a slow step forward. The air around the entrance was cooler, way cooler than the forest air. Mira touched the stone. "It's humming," she whispered. And it was. A gentle vibration pulsed through the rock, like it had a heartbeat. "I think we should go back," Leo said. "Are you kidding?" Mira grinned. "We just found the most mysterious place in the entire town. We're going in." Leo sighed. He knew she wouldn't drop it. They stepped inside. At first it was just quiet. Dusty stone walls, little drops of water echoing in the distance, but after a few turns things changed. The walls had symbols, etched spirals, stars, and strange animal shapes. Some of them glowed faintly, like they had their own light. Then Mira's flashlight flickered. Leo?" Everything went dark. The humming stopped. For a few long seconds, they were surrounded by complete silence. Then, "Welcome back." The voice echoed around them, calm, ancient, and not human. Leo's breath caught. "Who's there?" Mira called out. No answer, just the sound of stone shifting somewhere deeper in the cave. Something had woken up. Leo's flashlight finally flickered back on. The cave looked the same, but it felt completely different now, like something inside had noticed them. They kept walking, slower this time. Every turn of the tunnel seemed to lean in closer, like the cave was breathing around them. Then they found it. A stone door, massive, round, and covered in swirling carvings. But what made them stop cold was what was written across the center. Leo. Carved right into the stone, clear as daylight. Leo froze. Okay, that's not normal. Mira stared at it, eyes wide. It knows you, like actually knows your name. Leo reached out, hesitant, but the moment his fingertips touched the cold surface, the carvings lit up, one by one, like a ripple of light across a pond. The door slowly began to turn. Behind it was a chamber filled with fog, golden dust floating in the air like fireflies. At the center stood a pedestal with an object resting on top, a smooth stone cube carved with the same strange symbols. Leo stepped forward. But the moment he touched the cube, a gust of wind knocked them both off their feet. The cave trembled, the walls pulsed with that same hum, stronger now, faster. Suddenly, the voice returned, louder this time. "You are not ready." And just like that, the light snapped out. The cube was gone. Leo and Mira ran. Not like a little jog, they bolted out of Logu Cave like something was chasing them. The air felt heavier with each step, and even the trees outside seemed to lean in closer. When they finally reached the forest edge, both of them collapsed on the grass, gasping for breath. Mira sat up. "Okay, what just happened?" Leo didn't have an answer. He looked down at his hand, where he'd touched the cube, and his heart skipped. There was something on his skin. A symbol, faint, glowing, like it had been burned into him, without pain. It was the same symbol from the cave wall, a spiral within a square surrounded by dots. Mira?" She looked and gasped. "It marked you!" He tried to rub it off. Nothing. At home later that night, Leo stared at the symbol under his desk lamp. It was still there, softly pulsing like a heartbeat. He opened the map again. In the margins, more symbols were appearing, ones he hadn't noticed before. And just before he turned off his light, he heard it again. Return. A whisper. Not from the cave this time. From his room. After that night, Leo couldn't focus on anything else. Not school, not chores, not even his favorite grilled cheese. The symbol on his hand wasn't going away. In fact, it seemed to glow brighter the closer he got to anything from the cave, like the map or the book he found it in. Mira, of course, was all in. "We need to go back," she said, pulling out a backpack filled with snacks, flashlights, and was that rope? "I don't even know what that cube was," Leo muttered, "and the cave literally told me I wasn't ready." "Then let's get ready," Mira grinned. So they went back. This time, they brought everything they thought they'd need, and a little bravery they weren't sure they had. When they reached the cave's main hall, the door with Leo's name on it was gone. In its place, a stone wall with a tiny spiral symbol glowing in the center. Leo touched the mark on his hand to it. Instantly, the wall shifted. Behind it was a hidden chamber, smaller, quieter, lined with hundreds of tiny cubes resting in alcoves, each one carved with different symbols. "It's like a memory library," Mira whispered. In the center was a cube with the same spiral square symbol as Leo's hand. When he touched it, the room trembled, and he saw visions, a voice, a village, a warning. Then, darkness. Leo stumbled back, breathing hard. This isn't just a cave, it's a puzzle, and someone or something wants me to solve it. The next cube Leo touched didn't show him visions, it spoke to him. Not with words, but with feelings. A sense of urgency, of watching eyes, of something old and waiting. Then Mira gasped, "Leo, something's moving." At the far end of the chamber, stone cracked, just a little, enough for a figure to emerge, slow and silent. It wasn't human exactly, but it wasn't scary either. It looked like a statue, carved from smooth gray stone with glowing lines down its arms and across its chest. Its face was simple, no mouth, just eyes that shimmered like warm gold. Mira hid behind Leo. Is that a guardian?" The statue nodded, just once. It didn't speak, but its voice echoed straight into Leo's head. "You carry the mark. You have awakened the path, but the cave is not a treasure. It is a memory that must be healed." Leo stepped forward. "Why me?" The guardian tilted its head. "Because you came when no one else did. Because you heard it call." Then the guardian raised one hand, and from its palm, a glowing symbol floated into the air. It hovered in front of Leo like a puzzle piece. "Find the 3 keys. Only then will the truth of Logu be revealed." With that, the guardian turned back to stone. Leo caught the symbol gently in his hand. It faded into his skin like the mark before it. 3 keys, 1 found, 2 more to go. Back outside the cave, Leo couldn't stop thinking about the guardian's words. 3 keys. The truth will be revealed. He still had no idea what the truth was, or why he had to find it. But now he was in too deep to walk away. Mira was already sketching the guardian in her notebook. So what's next? Where do we even look for the 2nd key? That night, Leo had a dream. He was back inside the cave, but the walls were different, twisting like vines. A soft whisper led him down a hallway filled with mirrors that didn't reflect him, but showed memories. Not his, someone else's. When he woke up, the map had changed again. A new line had appeared, glowing faintly, leading to a deep part of the forest labeled the Path of Echoes. They packed up early and followed it. It didn't take long for the forest to grow strange. The trees curved inward like arches, and every step they took echoed back, but not just their footsteps. Voices, sometimes their own, sometimes not. Leo paused. "Did you hear that?" Mira looked pale. "It said my name." Suddenly, the trees shimmered and shifted, blocking the way they came. "We're in it now," Leo whispered. At the center of the path stood a stone column with a second symbol floating above it, just like the Guardians. But when Leo reached for it, a shimmering wall of sound pushed him back. "You must let go of your fear," a voice said, not out loud, but inside him. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, then stepped forward again. This time, the wall let him through. The second key merged into his mark. 2 down. Leo had 2 keys now, 2 glowing marks etched into his skin, and 1 more to go. But something about the last key felt different. Even the map didn't update this time. Instead, Leo woke up to find a name missing from his memory. Not a random one. His mom's. He could see her face, hear her laugh, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't remember her name. Mira noticed right away. "You okay?" Leo nodded, but it wasn't true. "I'm forgetting things. The cave, it's taking pieces of me." That afternoon, they returned to the cave, unsure where to go, until Leo's hand lit up on its own. A tiny spark hovered above his palm, then floated toward a tunnel they hadn't seen before. They followed it. This chamber was smaller, simpler. At the center was a circle of mirrors, 7 of them. In each one, Leo saw himself, younger, older, afraid, brave, angry, lost, hopeful, and in the last mirror, he saw himself without a name. That version of him looked back and said, quietly, "To claim the 3rd key, you must remember what was taken." Leo stood in silence, eyes closed. He thought about the stories his mom told him, her bedtime lullabies, how she used to say he was her little light in the dark. Then suddenly it hit him. Serena, his mother's name. The moment he said it aloud, the 3rd key appeared behind the final mirror. He stepped through the glass, and this time there was no resistance. The final key merged into his hand, but the voice returned. "Now that you hold the truth, you must decide what to do with it." With all 3 keys etched into his skin, Leo expected answers. But instead, the cave went silent. No glowing paths, no whispers, no hums. Nothing. Even the map turned cold and blank, like it was asleep. Leo stood at the entrance with Mira, confused and frustrated. "I thought we were getting closer, but now it's like the cave just shut off." Mira tilted her head. "Or maybe it's watching, waiting." That night, Leo sat in his room, staring at his hand. The 3 marks pulsed dimly, fading in and out like flickering candles. Then, his bedroom mirror fogged up on its own. Words appeared on the glass. "Bring the keys to the heart." He jumped to his feet. The heart? The cave hadn't mentioned that before. But the next morning, the map came alive again, with one final symbol glowing at the bottom. It wasn't marked before. It simply said, "The Heart of Logu," the deepest chamber, the one that until now had been locked. When Leo and Mira returned to the cave, the entrance had changed. The walls were darker, the air heavier. The path was no longer familiar. As they stepped forward, The stone door behind them sealed shut. Leo turned, stunned. "It closed its eyes," Mira whispered. "No turning back," Leo said. And ahead, in the shadows, the heart waited. The tunnel was like nothing Leo and Mira had seen before. No sharp stone or dripping walls, just a smooth spiral hallway that seemed to breathe. Soft lights floated in the air, like fireflies made of memory. "It doesn't feel like a cave anymore," Mira whispered. "It feels like a mind." They followed the curve until it opened into a massive chamber, a perfect sphere, glowing from within. The walls shimmered with moving images, as if the stone was showing memories. People, places, moments. And in the center floated a giant orb of light, pulsing, slow and steady. Leo could feel it deep in his chest. The heart of Logu. A voice echoed all around them, not from a person, but from the cave itself. "You brought the keys, so you may see what was hidden." The glowing orb split into 3 smaller spheres. Each floated toward Leo and merged into his marks. Suddenly, the walls lit up with a full, living memory. An ancient village, a people who once lived in harmony with the cave. Logu wasn't just a cave, it was a living memory vault, a keeper of stories, emotions, and wisdom from long ago. But then, something went wrong. Fear, division. Someone tried to erase parts of the truth, so the cave sealed itself, waiting for someone who could see the full story. Leo stepped forward, stunned. "I'm not special?" But the voice responded, "You are willing. That is enough." The heart pulsed faster now. The cave's voice had changed. It wasn't distant anymore. It felt personal, like it was speaking through Leo, not just to him. "You have seen the full memory, the truth. But now it must be decided. Do you keep this hidden or let the world remember?" Leo stared at the swirling images on the walls. He saw the peaceful village before it fell apart. He saw the arguments, the fear, the decision to erase the past and hide it inside the cave, all to protect people from the truth. "What happens if I choose to reveal it?" he asked quietly. "The world will remember, and not all memories bring peace." Mira stepped closer. "You don't have to decide alone." But Leo shook his head. I think I do." He looked down at his hands. The 3 symbols now glowed together, forming a circle across his palms. He felt the cave's history inside him, all of it. The love, the loss, the mistake they made trying to bury it. He thought about his mom, about Mira, about the people in his town who always avoided the cave. If we never remember the hard things, we'll never really grow. Then he looked at the heart. "I choose to remember." And with that, everything began to shift. The second Leo whispered, "I choose to remember," the entire cave responded, not just with sound, but with emotion. It was like the mountain had held its breath for centuries and was finally exhaling. The ground trembled, not violently, but like a stretch after a long, deep sleep. Mira grabbed Leo's hand. "What's happening?" "It's waking up," Leo whispered. The glowing patterns on the walls unraveled like ancient threads. The heart pulsed, releasing a wave of warmth that swept through the chamber. Every carving, every memory, every secret, the cave let them all go. But the truth wasn't gentle. As the stories poured out, Leo and Mira saw what the villagers really feared: the time when they turned against each other, choosing safety over compassion, silence over understanding. People outside the cave felt it too. At that exact moment, the sky above the village shifted, clouds swirling into a spiral. Symbols began to appear on stones, tree trunks, and doorways. Some villagers screamed, some wept, some remembered. Leo fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Did I just destroy everything? But Mira knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. No, you did what they were too afraid to do. You chose the truth. The cave began to dim, its purpose complete. Leo realized something then. Logu Cave wasn't a place of hiding. It was a place of waiting. Waiting for someone brave enough to unlock it. And now, the whole world knew. They stepped out of the cave, and it felt like stepping into a different reality. The forest was quieter. The birds didn't sing. The wind moved as if it remembered something too. Leo squinted up at the sky. Those ancient symbols still shimmered faintly in the clouds. The village in the distance looked the same, but it wasn't. Mira looked uneasy. You think they'll blame you? Leo took a deep breath. Maybe, but someone had to open the door. As they walked into the village, everything stopped. Conversations froze. Tools clattered to the ground. Old men stood from their benches. Children peeked from behind their mothers. And then, "You brought it back," whispered an old woman. Not with anger, with relief. Suddenly, the crowd moved, not to attack, but to listen. Leo told them everything, about the cave, the memories, the choice he made. Some cried, some nodded. A few walked away, still afraid, but many remembered, fragments of their ancestors' pain, joy, fear, and wisdom resurfacing. Mira stepped forward too. This wasn't just Leo, it was all of us. We forgot our story. We were scared of it, but we need it to grow. The village council, once the most skeptical, now looked broken and humbled. And when the sky cleared that night, the stars were brighter than anyone had ever seen. Leo knew this was just the beginning of healing. The days that followed were strange, quiet, but full. The villagers started remembering little things, songs their grandparents used to hum, names etched into trees, recipes no one had cooked in years. It was like the air carried whispers of the past, gently brushing against their hearts. Leo wandered the village every morning, just listening. An old man handed him a folded piece of cloth one day. It was faded, but hand-stitched with a symbol Leo had seen in the cave, a spiral within a circle. He said, "This belonged to your great-grandmother. She was a guardian too." Leo didn't know what to say. For the first time, he felt where he belonged. Mira, meanwhile, spent her time helping villagers draw maps of the cave network, preserving the symbols on paper, walls, and even cloth. Children helped paint murals of their story on the village school. It was as if the village had been cracked open and light was finally spilling in. But not everyone joined. Some remained in their homes, refusing to speak, to look, to remember. Leo didn't blame them. Memory was heavy. Not everyone was ready to carry it. Still, When the village gathered one evening by the fire, an elder stood and handed Leo a wooden pendant carved with ancient marks. He said, "You've reconnected what was lost. This is not a reward, it's a responsibility." Leo held it tightly. He didn't feel heroic, just awake. For the first time in generations, their story wasn't hidden, it was shared. Just when Leo thought they had seen everything, the cave called them back. It wasn't a voice or vision this time, just a pull, a nudge in the chest that wouldn't go away. Mira felt it too. "We missed something," she whispered one morning. "I can feel it." So they went, just the two of them. With lanterns, water, and calm hearts, they entered Logu Cave one last time. They walked past the murals, past the pools, deeper than ever before, until they found it. A narrow passage, previously blocked by rubble. Leo cleared it with bare hands, stone by stone, until they could slip through. Beyond was a chamber unlike the others, small, circular, and completely silent. In the center stood a stone pedestal, and on it, a book. Not ancient, not dusty, fresh. Bound in dark green leather with Leo's initials on the front. He opened it. Page 1. If you are reading this, you have awakened the memory of Logu. Page 2. Now you must choose. Keep the knowledge sacred or share it with the world. His hands trembled. This was it, the final question. Mira looked at him. The world forgot this place once. Would they forget it again? He closed the book, pressed it to his chest, and said, "We'll share it, but wisely." Because some secrets weren't meant to be buried. They were meant to be remembered together. When Leo and Mira came back from the cave, something about them had changed. Not just because they looked tired, but because they looked sure. They called the village elders together, showed them everything, notes, rubbings from the murals, even the green book. At first, silence, then disbelief. "This is fantasy," one elder scoffed. "It's real," Leo replied calmly. "We saw it, we lived it." But not everyone doubted. Some elders stared at the rubbings with trembling hands, whispering old prayers they hadn't spoken in decades. Then stories began to spill. My grandmother once spoke of a memory chamber in the cave. There were songs we weren't allowed to sing near the cliffs. Now I know why. The whole village was buzzing within hours. The cafe, the temple steps, the rice fields, all full of whispers. Leo found the heart of the cave. Mira saw the memory flame. They woke up Logu. And for the first time in a very long time, the village didn't shrug off the past. They listened. They remembered. They believed. The cave was sealed again, not by force, but by choice. Leo stood at the edge of the cliff one last time, looking down at the narrow path that led to Logu Cave. Beside him, Mira tied the last strand of red fabric to a wooden post. "A marker," she whispered. "Not a warning. A memory." They had taken nothing from the cave, no relics, no treasures, just a truth that would live in stories again. Leo opened the green book one final time. Inside were drawings of the memory chamber, the flame, the guardian's eye, and a note at the very back, scribbled by him. Logu is not a place, it's a promise. If we forget, it sleeps. If we remember, it lives. Mira placed a single white flower at the trail's entrance, for the ones who kept the secret, even when the world forgot. They walked down the hill slowly, without looking back. The path would always be there, but some doors should only open for the right reasons. Back in their town, life slowly returned to normal. Leo was back in his bookstore, dusting off shelves and recommending adventure novels to curious kids. Mira returned to her studio, painting landscapes, but now with subtle caves, glowing stones, and shadows of memory tucked into every piece. People asked them sometimes, "Did you find anything up there?" And Leo would smile and say, "Just peace and a really good story." He had rewritten the Green Book, not as a journal of proof, but as a fictional tale, a children's book called The Secret of Logu Cave. Kids loved it, adults were curious, and only Leo and Mira knew how much of it was real. One night, as they sat under a sky full of stars, Mira asked, "Do you think we'll ever go back?" Leo didn't answer immediately. He just looked at the hill in the distance, the one that disappeared into the clouds. "Maybe one day," he said softly. "But for now, I think we brought the best part of it back with us." They both smiled. Because some secrets aren't meant to be hidden. They're meant to be held quietly, gently, and forever.